the write-up was, we're looking for 3 women of color, girls of color, who look much younger than they are because they have to play teenagers. And I thought, perfect. I go there. I can't tell you how many people were there. And I can't tell you all the girls that sang before me. I mean, they were singing, Whitney Houston, and they were singing, and I just thought, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? I went in, I sang my 16 bars. I didn't even get to dance. I mean, I didn't even get that far. But that was just something you did 2, 3, 4 times a week. You just went to cattle calls just to get into the groove. So you got used to it at some point.
Yeah, because that's like, I mean, I feel like that really wears some people down. Some people are like, I'm out at some point, from that experience.
Yes.
But not you.
No, because and maybe, I was lucky because I watched my dad go through it as a kid, so I knew what it was. And I knew that if I really want to do this, I just have to keep going and not, feel discouraged because an audition didn't work out. I mean, you go to an audition not thinking, I'm going to book this. You go to say, okay, I'm going to do it better this time. I'm going to rock those 16 bars. I will get to the dance part this time. It's that way of thinking. So it was a good school, definitely.
Amazing. But so then once after that process, like when did you end up back in Germany? Because I know that you obviously ended up back in Berlin at some point.
They had this big audition for the European tour of the musical Hair.
Oh, wow.
I'm laughing right now because European tour, and it was a tour of Germany. But, European tour sounds so much better. So
that's what I always say. We do one show in France. I'm like, European tour.
Exactly. And we did one show in France. That's exactly what we did. That was it. But the rest was Germany. So I went to audition, actually initially for a tour of Little Shop of Horrors, basically.
Which I love.
That's what I actually went out for. But I didn't get it. But they offered me Hair instead.
Not bad.
And then I went on tour. It was, when was that? About 6 months before the wall came down. It was a year before the wall came down in Berlin. So we toured.
Incredible.
And then I was done. In the beginning of 1989, I decided to move back to Berlin because I had an audition for a play, Little Shop of Horrors. And I fell in love with my 22-year-old young heart, and I stayed and I never went back. Which is, and I'm still here. I never went back to the States. I went on tour, and then I just stayed.
And did you stay in Berlin?
Yes, I did.
That became your home?
Yes.
And did you stay, was it just love, or was it the city, or was it mostly, what was it?
It was everything. First of all, the city was so familiar to me because I grew up there.
Yeah.
Or here, this is where I'm sitting. And yes, it was also love, but then one job led to the next. So, that's the old adage, you go where the work is. Totally. And the work just ended up being in Germany. So I did a lot of productions of Little Shop in different German cities. And then, other musicals started popping up. And my home base was always Berlin, though. So I just stayed here. And I was even here when the wall came down, which I think is very poetic in a way because my parents got married the year the wall was built. And they started their marriage here in Berlin with the wall just having been built. And then when I came back, the wall came down. And I just thought, we are so connected to the city somehow. And
That's so incredible.
Yeah.
Man, you've lived through some amazing, you've been in these places that are so, at these moments that are just iconic in history. It's
I mean.
Do you look back and be I did it. I lived, I've had all these rich experiences kind of, and to be touring, I mean, maybe it just really resonates with me because I am so really romanticized some of those, when cities were grittier and when and to be a touring artist at those times. I'm can anything be cooler?
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it's this. I mean, I guess when you're in it, you don't think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do notice there is a difference now. There's a big difference. Through social media. That's the other thing. There was no social media back then.
Yeah. And how has that changed things?
Other way of being. You met or you made a date. You saw somebody and you said, okay, I'll meet you next week at 77th and Broadway at this cafe, and you met. Mm-hmm. You couldn't cancel in the last minute. You didn't confirm 5 times. That was the date. And I kind of miss that because now I don't want to generalize, but a lot of times people make a date, but they know that they could always change it if they need to. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I can always write a message, or it's this. Yeah.
I mean, that's 100% true, but it's I haven't really thought about the fact that that hasn't always been the case.
Mm-hmm.
That is something new. And
it is.
Maybe not the greatest thing.
Yeah.
I know you recently went off of, I'm just curious, off of Facebook and you're not on Instagram. Why did you do that? What's your relationship with social media? I think it's interesting because a lot of artists, I think, feel like they have to be on there to be promoting and be doing a million things, and you have to be on social media. And I'm wondering, how do you feel about that?
This is funny because you and I, we know each other from Seville,
mm-hmm.
and that's where I joined Facebook.
Okay.
Because my much younger roommate Ian and colleague, he joined Facebook and he said, "Try this." And I'm like, "Oh, this is fun," and it becomes this toy. And years went on, and I found myself comparing. The tendency to compare yourself in this business is very high anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But with social media, it's even worse because basically you get a message and then you start scrolling, and then you start, oh, they have a premiere, and oh, she lost weight, and oh, she got a leading role in blah, and which is great, and I'm happy for them. But if you're not in a good place, that doesn't really help because you're so busy looking at what everybody else is doing and not concentrating on yourself. And I get very easily distracted. That mm-hmm. is how I am. And I realized after years and years, I've been trying to leave Facebook for about 7 years.
Since you joined.
And I kept thinking, what if I lose jobs? And then I thought about it. I never got a job through Facebook. Never.
Yeah. No.
Ever. So I wanted to, what is it called? Delete my account. And then, because I'm only in touch with certain people like you also.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
On Messenger, I decided to not delete it, but to deactivate it.
Okay.
So I don't even go onto the page anymore. I just use Messenger.
And does it feel like a cleanse? I imagine you feel pretty good.
I feel very good about it because just right before we started this interview, I went on to, you can just click on Facebook and you see your picture. And when you open it, it opens. I never opened it, but there are about 85 messages.
Oh my God.
And I'm not tempted to look at all.
Well, that's good. Because
the people who are really important will either call or write me. And that's how I see it. And so that's that.
It seems very healthy to me. I don't know. Do you think you could tell me, because I know that you've performed in many different genres and languages, mm-hmm. but particularly genres, to be doing musical theater, to be doing opera. Can you tell me about some of the rewards and challenges of the different genres you work in, and sort of your relationships with those genres?
Well, the funny thing is, when you study musical theater, it's not. I think people don't really know what that is. So basically, you're studying 3 categories. You're studying mm-hmm. dance, and you're studying acting, and you're studying singing. So basically, your goal is to be a triple threat. And each person in my class had a strength. And my strength was acting. I'm not a great dancer. I move well. I can sell it because I'm a good actress. So I'll sell that I can dance, but I'm not a great dancer. I know that. And the singing, it just kind of happened because in Germany, I just kept getting musicals because I didn't get any plays because they didn't know what to do with the space. They cast me. So I kept doing musicals, and then my singing got better. So at some point, that was all I did. So, I rehearsed musicals for years and years and years and performed them. But I do realize that my first love is acting. And for me, musicals has just become something I can just do. It's because I've done it so long.
It's just in
the
you.
The acting has become the challenge. To just
really?
Just because it's just one thing. It sounds funny, but when you're doing a musical, you're concentrating on choreography, and then you have to do the scenes, and then you have to do the singing. And when you're acting, it's all about the role.
Mm-hmm.
There's no distraction. There's no, well, I'll dance it away. It's raw. It's naked, actually. It's just acting. That's it. So for me, that is my biggest love now, because it's a challenge because I haven't done it enough.
Oh, wow. So
it's challenges.
And as your career has progressed, and it's like you've now been working in this field for I don't know how many years. I know I'm getting shiny over here. It's hot there.
Berlin, it has. I know it's just so weird. This happens when you get older. You talk about the weather all the time, but I check my phone. We have 74% humidity.
Ugh.
That's the volume of my hair.
I'm going to say that it's something like that here because Toronto has just been not that anyone wants to hear about our weather reports, but yeah, it's incredibly humid and incredibly warm. But you know what? I'm not complaining because...
it's good for the skin. Open those pores.
Well, and I'm just it's not winter. You have a winter in Berlin that's, I'm just seeing we've got who we've got watching here and looking at the live stream. We've got Kumal in India. Do you remember Kunal from Seville?
Oh, you're gone.
Oh, do you see me?
Oh, there you are. Okay, you were gone for a second.
Okay, sorry. Do you remember Kunal from India? He was a dancer in Seville. Anyways, he's watching this right now. I thought you might know him. A very handsome, beautiful man that was in a lot of different dance classes when we were.
Well, I didn't really take classes.
It's true. You weren't fully in the dance scene. You were in the odd class.
Yeah, I was in the beginner class.
Yeah, it's true.
Tourists take, and then I would watch the other classes and go, okay, that's where I'm supposed to be going in that direction. But no.
Tell me. Let's talk about that because that's where we connected was in Seville. Me and Lynne ended up living in the same apartment for I can't remember how long because I was so in and out of that place. But yeah, and that was an amazing place. So tell me about what brought you to Seville and why you made that journey and had that phase of your life.
Seville, interesting. I was involved in a comedy troupe. There were 3 women and a pianist, and we were called Womedy, Women in Comedy, and it was a German troupe. And they had been looking for somebody to replace another woman who had left because she was pregnant. And the pianist happened to be a colleague of mine, and he really wanted me in it. So that's also luck. It's so much luck. So he got me ready for the audition. So I was so ready when I auditioned for them.
Fantastic.
I got the job. And then we did that for 2 years. We were on tour constantly. And then at some point, one of the colleagues got pregnant. The other colleague said, I want to do a solo show. And the pianist wanted to go back to his Bach cantatas. He didn't want to do comedy anymore. He wanted to go back to classical music.
Okay.
And so everybody had this reason for leaving. And so the group was dissolved. And I just sat there and I thought, well, this is an opportunity to ask myself, what do I want? And it was something very simple. I wanted to not live in Germany for a while, to see what that's like. And I wanted to live in a place that had hot weather because I didn't know what that was like either. And I love hot weather.
Yeah, well, you got it.
I told you this whole thing of, trying to find somebody who knew somebody in Seville, and I couldn't find anybody. And then I met somebody whose sister happened to live there, who's German, who rents out rooms. And so I spoke to her, and then I moved. I did not know Spanish. I did not know anybody except this one woman who I was going to be living with, and I just went, and everything unfolded from there. So I really feel that if you go on a feeling, the universe somehow takes care of you, because it was such a ride to live there and be there, and the people I met, and I made no plans. It just happened, and it was one of the best times of my life, and it's changed my life too. Because now I have a third language.
Yeah.
And I helped open a music school.
You did?
I started writing songs with Ian, the guitarist,
Amazing.
Which I hadn't done before that either. And just all of that. It was very serendipitous. I love that word.
Me too.
Serendipitous.
And so you just like had this time there where you could just sort of like explore whatever you wanted.
Yes. And I didn't really, I just went on my instinct. That's the only way to describe it. I went with the flow, and it turned into 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The reason I came back is because I missed doing theater. And my Spanish wasn't good enough for theater. And that's the reason I moved back.
But do you think otherwise you might have stayed? Like, did you like the life
yes.
there?
I loved, because the thing is, it's so hot in Sevilla that you have to be relaxed. And I have the tendency to not be relaxed. I get riled up very quickly, and I have a temper and all these things, and I tend to get hectic. And it was so hot, it just forced me to relax. And it was so good for me. I didn't have a headache for 2 years. My muscles were relaxed. I was relaxed. I'm like, todo bien, no pasa nada. Everything was, tintito here, tintito there, tapetita and flamenco and da-da-da. It was just a whole other way of being. And it fed my soul. And that is why that's always going to be a home to me.
The rhythm of life there is so different.
Like, it is.
Even Seville to Madrid, because I was in Madrid after, but it's really like, you can't be a really high-strung person there. Like, it doesn't work. You're not, like, simpatico with everybody else if you are, So you kind of just have to, like... So, yeah, to be able to do that... Because I always found when I was there, I was, like, had these, like, really intense goals and, like, was, like, trying to do all these things. And then I just had to be like, well... Eventually, I was just like, well, I'll just work a bit every day and see, go to my class.
Yeah, it's kind of like you work enough to pay the rent, and then, the rest of the day you can have a tinto verano and a tapetita.
Yeah, and it's really like a nice thing, because coming back, it just seems like a lot less, they don't value like material things as much. I honestly think that like people aren't working as much. They don't have these like big, crazy, nice houses and like fancy.
Exactly.
Compared to North America, like coming back here, I don't know what it's like in Berlin, but coming back here, I was like, oh, we're very like materialistic, and like I feel poor here. Whereas like in Seville, I just felt like I was just living my life without like worrying about like giving an impression of like success or wealth, basically.
Yeah, it's true though.
Yeah.
And I also. And you don't need a lot of money.
Mm-hmm, you really don't.
That's the other thing, because, Germany isn't exactly cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Although Berlin is the cheapest capital, I think, in the world.
Right.
I mean, it really is. It's you can actually afford to be an artist and live here and not, have to do 5 jobs on the side. Mm-hmm. So that is a blessing. But when I got to Seville the first time, I went to the market at Feria.
Yeah.
And, here, buying vegetables and all this stuff. I mean, everything's from there, and it's sun-kissed, and it tastes different. And I went and I bought vegetables and fruit, 2 big bags, and it was €5. And I thought they made a mistake. I'm like, do you know how much this would cost in Berlin, and it wouldn't even taste good? And that for me was already, I'm like, I'm staying here. The food is delicious.
That is the thing, is like you really can be an artist, and like that's what's so challenging about, because then it's like, okay, I'm like, now I do want to be in Toronto, or like people, they need to be in New York, or they need to be in like Berlin or wherever to work, like is the case with you. And I felt kind of the same way, but then it's like it's a different equilibrium. It's like a different balance. You do have to be like kind of working all the time.
True. And it also, I think what I learned there is what's really important. Because sure, we have ambitions, and this business isn't the easiest. And I was speaking to an actress friend yesterday. She's in the film business, so that's a whole other animal in itself. And her career is taking off right now. And we both came to the conclusion you do have to be a little bit local to choose this job, to choose this path, because we don't know where the rent's going to be coming from. Every job could be the last job. So it really is about passion, and it's about doing it not because I have to survive that. It's because I have to do it. It's in my heart. It's in my soul. I need it. And if that means I'll eat potatoes for a week, well, then I'll do that. A lot of potatoes.
I'm so inspired. I'm like, I got to go to the studio right now.
me too. I'm inspired now too.
Well, tell me about the project that, like, during COVID, I know a lot of people were, well, obviously lives were dramatically changed. What was it like? Like, what did you end up doing during that time? Did you have any projects? Like, what happened artistically for you?
And I touched on this too. So I was in the middle of a theater run when COVID hit. So then this was in Vienna, and the theater got a call saying, we're going to have to close the theater down for a moment because we have to figure out what this madness is that's coming. And they called and they said, we cannot perform anymore. Maybe April will open up again, but it doesn't look like it. And I said, yeah, but our run is done in March. And then they said, well, then you're done. And I kind of was very dazed, and I went to the flat that I was subletting at the time, and I didn't know what to do with myself, so I started writing about exactly that. I just came home and I used the word home, and then I realized that my home is actually Berlin, but for this time being, I was home in this flat in Vienna, and home in that sense meant a safe place, because we were all in lockdown. Yeah. So home is a safe place. And then I started thinking about what is home. And then I thought, well, Mom was home in the beginning, and then she had me in Berlin, so that was home. And then New York was home because I studied there and grew. Sevilla is home because it changed my soul. Berlin will always be home. And doing what I love is home. And people who feed my soul and who are like the family that you choose, that's also home. And I realized that word home really, encompasses a lot. And that just fascinated me, so I just kept writing. I haven't finished yet because I admit I've been lazy.
Well, that's the other thing. I feel like accomplishing stuff during COVID.
I haven't.
It's fine. You're good. Nobody did. I'm like so annoyed at those people that have like written a novel or something. I'm like, come on. We were all just like being depressed and watching Netflix and like staring out the window.
Netflix. See, there's the thing. I got rid of Facebook, but I have a new addiction. Netflix.
Yeah. I honestly think I don't know. I think social media is a complicated beast, and the thing is like as an actress, I don't know if do you say actor or actress?
Well, there's that thing again, the whole gender thing. Well, that's another interview. But there was a time when actresses in the States were insisting on being called actor, so it wasn't gender.
Yeah.
But then they went back to actress, because I'm like, I like being an actress. There's nothing wrong with me being a female actor called an actress. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know. I'm like, where are we on this one? Yeah. Okay. So we're actress. Good.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. I think I've completely lost my train of thought now that we dove into that.
There goes the train. Yeah. Where were we?
So, no, we were talking about the pandemic. Oh, I was saying that like with Netflix and this kind of thing is that as an actress, it's like there's a lot of good stuff on there, and you're watching art, and you're watching, like, the other day, they uploaded Das Boot, which is German, and I had never seen it. I was like, how am I watching this, like, submarine, but But it's an incredible, that's a work of art, you know? Like, so
It is.
we can't completely be like, television is garbage. You know, there's
No, I mean, I think I like watching a lot of documentaries too.
Mhm.
And, you know, in the beginning, you can always put it under the heading, I'm doing research. Look how this
Absolutely.
actress works the camera. Look how
Mhm.
the lighting is in this. Oh, this director works like that. You know, I mean, you can always justify it. But, you know, when you're on season 5 of something, it's not research anymore. It's just basically, yeah, you've binged yourself into 5 pounds more.
It happened to the best of us. I mean, it was a long year.
Exactly.
So what are your plans? What does like the future hold for you? What's on the horizon as we sort of maybe emerge from this?
So after I left Sevilla, I'm just going back there for a second because
Mhm.
that's where I worked with Ian, the guitarist, and that's when I started writing songs, and we were such a good team musically. That was very difficult for me not to have that work anymore, and
Mhm.
it's not easy to find a musician that you jive with very well. I
Totally.
mean, where it's just, yep, that we're meant to work together. So I was very blue about that for a long, long, long time. But recently I had a job. I got a job, and they were looking for musicians, a singer and a band. And I got the job. It was my job to find a band or a musician. And I thought, well, the easiest thing to do is just to find a guitarist, just. And 17 were recommended, and one of the guitarists on this list was recommended by 2 people, and I took it as a sign. So I called him, and we started writing songs. So that's the next thing that's on the horizon.
Wonderful.
Finishing my home thing
Yeah.
on the side, but also working with him and writing more and putting myself out there more and just being more courageous because, you know, it's the whole, oh, I wonder if I'm good. It's no.
No.
I mean, I've been
Get out
around
there.
the block 25,000 times. I think I know what I'm capable of now. I love doing things I can't do. Like I'm trying to get into film now because theaters are closed.
Yeah.
And because it's such a new world for me, I don't feel like I'm failing if I don't get a job because it's so new. So that is
Totally.
something I'm kind of just I'm looking into it.
Yeah, you can kind of just be like, well, you know, you can just be like, it's not me. It's just like I haven't quite gotten there yet. You know, you haven't quite figured it out. It's brand new.
Just see what happens.
Yeah. What has it been like, you know, to not be like a 25-year-old actor anymore, or like to not just because I'm always like, oh, I turned 40 this year. I'm like, I guess, does this continue? How long does this go on for? When do I have to get an office job, etc. And so I've really been like seeking out people to speak with who are like not 25, so they can be like, it's still awesome.
Yes.
So what has it been like? How have things changed, and how have you been feeling, you know, just as your career progresses and your life progresses?
Well, acting wise, it's great.
Great.
To mature and get older because I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back for a second. For instance, let's say you're singing a blues. My man done left me. Oh, woe is me. Blah 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 blah. That. When you're 22, you just sing it. When you're 55, you've been there.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to sing a blues when you're 55.
Yeah.
Because you've been there. It's not like I'm going to do the interpretation of Sarah Vaughan doing blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, I've been there. So I will just do me.
You just do
so
you.
So that's the one thing. The other thing, musical-wise, the knees. When I was 22, I would have shoes like this on a stage that was rigged and do dance numbers for 2.5 hours.
Right.
And then sometimes we had double shows. And then after that, we'd all go drinking. And then the next day, we do it again. Totally. I can't do that anymore. That is not possible anymore because my body will hurt. My voice will leave. And that's okay. That's perfect. I've partied enough in my life. I really have. And Spain was a big
I mean, yes,
was a big part of that. And as far as getting older, usually I remember being the youngest in the dressing room. So you have the female dressing rooms and the male dressing rooms. And I remember when I started, I was the young one. I was the baby. So everybody took care of me. And the older actresses were like, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, you messed up. It's okay. We have another show tomorrow. Being more, calm about it and not thinking of it as failing or anything like that. So I feel myself being in that role now because the piece I was in when it was closed down due to COVID, I was in a dressing room with a 25-year-old and a 26-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was, I used to have a body like that. I was like, oh yeah, okay. So they don't know what gravity is yet,
Not yet.
So that was a wake up call, but it was also it was so nice to feel, they were nervous when they were in rehearsals. And they were like, yeah, I'm not happy with that scene. And they cried and they felt insecure. And I was mama all of a sudden. And then I realized, I graduated. I'm in that category now. And it's nice. I like it.
Yeah, it seems like people become more just like relaxed. They're just like happier in their own skin. I don't know. That's something I feel like little by little, even as the skin changes and like whatever. You're like, it's actually kind of better somehow in a way. I don't know. Yeah. It's like you develop a level of comfort. And I guess it's like you there's like a confidence in your skills like because you've honed them, You know what you're doing.
And also in yourself as a person, where you're like, this is me. Because in the beginning you're trying to fit in and you're trying not to, be noticed, which is crazy because in this job, of course, we want to be noticed. We're on stage, but you know what I mean in personal life.
Yes.
And now I'm just, at the risk of sounding like, not a nice person, but I really don't care what people think.
I mean, that's wonderful.
I don't, because I've been through all of that, and it's like, if you don't like my voice or if you don't like my face or what, that's fine. That's your opinion, and I won't take it personally. That's a thing. I don't take it personally anymore, and that's part of maturing and growing into yourself. And I think that's very gratifying.
I mean, that sounds very freeing. That sounds like it would be great. I wonder, would you be willing to like sing a little something for us just before you go? If there's a little, I know you don't have like a band or your guitarist.
I know. I wanted my guitarist to come, but he couldn't.
But even a little a cappella, just a little taste would be delightful.
Okay. I will sing one of my favorite songs. It's called Willow Weep for Me. I won't sing the whole thing. I'll just sing a part of it.
Okay.
I have no idea which key I'm singing in right now, but I'll find it. Okay. Willow weep for me. Willow weep for me. Bend your branches down along the ground and cover me. Listen to my plea. Listen, willow, and weep for me. Gone, my lover's dream, lonely summer's dream. Gone and left me here to cry my tears into the stream. Sad as I can be, listen, willow, and weep for me. Is that enough?
Yeah! That's beautiful. You know what's so funny? I don't think I've ever heard you really perform or sing. Because we were just like hanging out all the time, and you were incredible.
Always, we always had a glass in our hand, so I'm sure you have, but you don't remember.
That's true. You probably have.
Maybe it's good.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And you wrote that, no? Is that something you've been working on? Is that one of your songs?
No, that's an old jazz.
Okay.
Standard. Yeah, that's an old jazz standard.
Well, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope that we get another chance to do it in Seville one of these days.
Well, my goal is, of course, to grab Alexei, that's the guitarist, and to come to Seville and do some concerts.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
They would
and
love
I'll meet you there.
Yeah. My goal is also to get back there in the not too distant future.
Yeah, we need a little bit of that.
Yes, we need a little bit of relaxing in the sun, I think. Everybody does. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so wonderful to hear about your life and your career and all the stuff that you've learned and all the crazy things that you've seen and done. Yeah, it really means a lot to be able to share that with our audience and to be able to have people that are not from, because we have a lot of guests from Canada. We're in Canada, but to have people that have had these really international experiences in the arts is really amazing to hear about. So thank you so much.
Thank you for with me. Thank you. And it was nice to talk about it too, because you don't, you just live it.
I know, so, exactly.
Thanks.
So yes. Thank you so much. And sorry, now this is the part where we are dealing with some new technology here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say goodbye.
Okay.
And hopefully this transition works. Thank you so much, Lynn. It was wonderful to have you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. And
so
all the best to you.
Bye.
And talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
No.
I
think we did it. Okay, I'm just going to finish up by telling everybody watching just a few other things that we have coming up with Fab Collab. So you've been watching Curtain Call, and this is a live interview series that we have every Wednesday at 12 p.m. here on Instagram. I'm just going to close my window here. There's someone with a large car stereo outside. So we have this interview series every week with different wonderful women in the arts, performers, arts advocates, women running festivals, women that are promoting artists around the world. And it happens every week, Wednesday at 12 on Fab Collab's Instagram account. We also run a concert series called Women in Song, and it's a live streaming festival style concert series that we have every few months. And our next Women in Song festival is called Summer Thunder, and it is happening this Sunday. So you can catch that. It's streaming live from Guild Park Theatre. We were supposed to happen on July 11th, but we had rain that day, so it's scheduled for July 18th at 8:30 p.m. and the weather is looking great. It's live from Guild Park in Scarborough, Ontario, just outside of Toronto. It's an incredibly beautiful setting, and so you can watch that. You can watch that. It's a work in progress, guys. You can catch that this Sunday on our Facebook, on Fab Collab's Facebook, or if you go to our website, fabcollab.ca, we have many different wonderful streaming partners, the National Arts Centre, Lula Lounge in Toronto, Small World Music, Musicians Performers Trust Fund. It'll be on all of their Facebook pages. If you go to fabcollab.ca, you can see all of those. You can see all of those links and watch it in any of those places. So we invite you to watch that, and we hope that you'll tune in to Curtain Call next Wednesday, presented by Factor and Heritage Canada and Fab Collab. And tomorrow will be hosting that episode with a wonderful guest. So please tune in next week and come and join us at Women in Song. Thanks so much.